computer, lights. Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday.
Good morning.
Pepper and I are completely unprepared. It's awesome. So you're going to get to watch us get prepared.
Actually, you know what, guy? That's funny because like I was totally unprepared, and then
Now you're prepared,
now I'm like exactly prepared because of your intro. I mean,
right?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Well,
I, on the other
anyways,
hand, still need to figure out where my watercolor paper went and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to go over and do stuff while you're doing started stuff things. I'll switch to my desk though.
it's all right. Well, I have a few things. Like first, I did not change out my water, so here's the dirty water. I'm gonna use it. Yeah.
No one's going to stop you.
Yeah. Second, I have a few things on my table that I figured I would let you guys know. First, I got these awesome watercolor pans, which I have not tested out. I want to do a two color type deal make to test these two out. Essentially, the small ones are dot pans. So they're like little tiny, dots go in here. That would be like a quarter of what normally goes in here. And I mean, as you can see, you can actually like fit the one inside. Oh, now probably won't come out. Oh, there it goes. Anyways, this right here, if you notice, the depth of each one of these is separate. This one is a half pan, but it's the same size as the half pan. So this is another half pan.
Does that make it a quarter pan?
Yeah. So this one basically has a it literally comes up like midway through the pan, so you get like a half of what you would normally get in a half pan. And again, so like you get a little bit more than what you would in this dot. So this is a dot. You get less with this one, more with this one. All three of these pans, all three of these pans were made by a company that's basically a one-man situation over in the Netherlands.
Hello, Brent.
And I am testing out. I am testing out their other pans, and I'm gonna go get them real quick. So I wasn't ready, guy. I wasn't ready.
See? In the end, you weren't ready. All right. So there's some complication with using my printer.
Alrighty.
Whenever I use my printer for things, there's always this little bit of complication that goes on. Okay. So,
well, at least you know it's a little complication,
right?
Okay.
Half of a half is a quarter. A quarter of a quarter is my friend. A quarter of a quarter is my quarter or your quarter. I don't know. There's something out there.
All right. Well, I'm back, and I actually have the other pans that that Laurent's sent me. Essentially, he called basically the community of people who make watercolor paint and asked those who follow him if they wanted to test out some new pans to see if they would like. Basically, these are the pans that I said that I was going to test. And they have like ridges and stuff in them to prevent them from having the paint fall out of them. So that's these guys right here. If you're interested in looking him up, you can find him. His store, his brand is called Dirty Blue Shop. I don't know if Guy can put that up or not yet. So,
no, I'm still working on other problems.
Yeah. So we'll try to get that up for you so that if you want to
call it Dirty Blue Shop.
Yeah, his store is called Dirty Blue Shop. Yep. And and I will explain the reason for that.
Like .com?
No, it's on Etsy, and you can find them Dirty Blue Shop on Instagram. So, and these two guys you probably recognize because I showed some pans that I made myself. He also sent me some that he made. Essentially, this would be like if you wanted this 4 palette, but you wanted something small, you now have 2 pans for 4 colors instead of 4 pans, taking up space if you just wanted to test out the colors. These 2 routes here and this one right here is this color. It's golden ochre. And by the way, I made all these colors last night, so there is a bit of a rush on them.
And there's a potential that they might explode or blow up.
Yes.
As always.
Essentially, these 4 are a set that I'm going to be working on that's inspired by Wizard of Oz, and you'll understand why when I mention the colors. And
yeah,
this
actually, Brent's saying something about he thinks the gold brown looks like chocolate.
Well, I can assure you it's definitely not chocolate, and you don't want to eat this. If you eat this, it will be probably nothing but sand inside of your mouth.
Sandy chocolate. Hey,
yeah,
there's
not a good thing.
somebody
Not
who's
something
totally into sandy chocolate.
Yeah, I know, right? So you don't want to eat that one. I swear you don't. It comes from Poland. It's called gold ochre. And surprisingly enough, where it was harvested.
If it's a Polish ochre, do we call it a poker?
No.
No. Okay.
No. It's actually not that far. It was actually it basically it's found like not that far from where my family's from in Poland, actually.
So your family plays poker. We've established this now.
Well, no, they do play poker, but they don't play with ochres. Like I think I'm the only one.
Now you're missing out on like a major point here. We could fill all.
I tend not to play any jokes into the Polish heritage side of myself because I was teased a lot by it.
I'm not making Polish jokes. I'm making Polish jokes based solely on the word Polish, not.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm not upset or anything. I'm just letting you know why my attitude is the way it is.
It's like, what, dad jokes already? What, is it too early for you, Brent?
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to Dirty Blue shop. He sent me these wonderful dot cards. This is his color called Dirty Blue, which I hope to get a pan. This is Pyro Green, I believe he sent me, and I love this color too. But if I had to choose, I'm going to choose Dirty Blue. And then this is from his Easter collection. And I did a image recently, and I did post it online, but I'll show it here. Basically, when I get a handmade watercolor set of colors, or if I just get paints in general from a handmade watercolor company, I tend to do one of these cards, and I draw 4 images so that I can. This one is the dirty blue. So this image right here is what I did with the dirty blues paint samples that he sent me along with the pans. I like them a lot. And as you guys have seen me paint on this show before, I do blending on the page, and they all blend very well. I like the use of it in everything, and I just, I want more. This last one is for one more company on this one before I transfer to another page, I guess. But anyways, I digress because, this is supposed to be a paint show, and I'm hoping Guy is already ready.
I'm working on it. I'm actually over here at this point in time, trying to get a page to print. This was a test page that I had done. And what we've got going on here is I literally just mimicked a page from Macross 7. Actually, I think it was Macross the first.
Mm-hmm.
So I just mimicked the page. So it's identical frames. I just added my characters in instead of Macross characters. Just so I would have a page to work with. So this isn't an actual piece of the story from Bellatrix Rising. It just has Bellatrix Rising characters on it. That's all.
Gotcha.
And I just mimicked the drawing. So I'm going to use it. We're going to print this page out, and we're going to see whether we can get through painting a page. That's the battle plan for today. But I'm trying also to do this with only using Clip Studio Paint. So this is taking a lot longer at this moment than I want.
Gotcha.
I'm having a hard time getting to where I want to be with this. Somebody's having computer problems over there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to apologize. I've been down that road with lots of kablamos. So this is the battle plan here. He's asking me if I'm using my 3D printer. No, I'm still using my main printer. I'm not going to 3D print this. That would take forever.
So when are we going to see you do the 3D printer?
The first step to the 3D printer was to get the screen in my door, which happened last weekend. Because I need to be able to vent that printer, vent out all of the toxic fumes that it creates. So I powered it up, but I didn't want to print anything because I was afraid if I printed something, then it would fill this office with toxic fumes and I'd die. So, there was that. I know, right? I'm such a weirdo. So now I've got that going. The next step is that I have a stage that I'm going to bring up here where it's going to sit. Really, all I'm trying to do is set myself up for the best success that I could possibly get and not set myself up for failure. I mean, I know I'm going to have problems with it anyway, just because of the nature of 3D printing. It's not going to print perfectly the first time. Things aren't going to go exactly like I want it to, yada, yada, yada. I already know that, so kind of hoping to not make it and the first time we used it, we all asphyxiated or something really dumb.
So the funny thing is I've actually talked to Laurent about the 3D printing on my end. Because he does the 3D printing that he does is actually he makes his paint pans that he sells with his 3D printer. And surprisingly enough, he uses recycled PVA plastic.
Yeah.
And his he basically pointed out that it doesn't smell. Like there's no toxic fume.
Yeah. I'm going to be using what they gave me with the printer.
Yeah, that normally is going to give off a very gnarly smell.
Right. They gave me just the base whatever. So I'm assuming that this is not going to be a very pleasant smell.
Well,
just judging from what I have seen, but I will ultimately swap out for that kind of stuff too. Whenever I'm done with this resin, I just don't want to waste the resin. So anyway, that's this weekend's sort of battle plan. I've got a little stage that I built for it that's going to sit by the door. The problem is that my office has exactly one door, or has one exit to the universe, if you will. And that's, yeah, well, also true, but I also am running a resin printer, which is going to be smelly.
Yeah.
He's saying that he's probably running a filament type.
Yeah, I believe that is the case.
I'll leave this all dark black, I think. So this is a trick that I picked up from, of all people, Ghibli.
Okay.
Ghibli does all of their character lines in brown, in a brown pen. And that's what gives that's why their animation looks so soft and so gentle. They use brown pen on all their cells. So when I print my pages now, I go through, whenever I'm going to go and paint them like I'm going to do right now, I will use a brown ink for the page.
Ah. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing over here, Guy, but you know, and how you talking about trying to find that fire engine red?
Mm-hmm.
So
you're finding that fire engine red for me?
So it's called Poppy Red. You know, that one that came in like small things that I basically have to handle with care?
Yep. Because it's explosive and will kill you and eat you?
Like, yeah, pretty much. So this is it. I'm using it right now. This is Poppy Red.
Nice.
So basically, when I first got it, it comes in and it's labeled water soluble. Which, I mean, I hope it is, because I purchased it so that it would be for watercolors.
Yeah.
Right. But the good thing about it was it probably was like the fastest setup that I think I've had in a very long time. Cool. With any red. It was very very fast compared to like any of the other reds that I've worked with, and also didn't require much attention afterwards. So
gotcha.
The yellow is called Indian Yellow. It is PY83. That is the color that I'm using right now on top of it, as you can probably tell there. I'm going to be boring and a technical artist that doesn't want to connect with people today. That's basically what I sound like.
Yeah.
But what I find hilarious is like the colors. They definitely came out like I know why the yellow is cracking, and I understand why it's cracking. I needed to add more liquid to it, so I'm gonna let it dry and see how that happens before I fill it again. Came out really thick, so I thought it was done. It may not be done.
It may not be, huh?
It may not be. So, if that's the case, I have a procedure that I do when that it happens. So, and this is well, according to the label, it said it was Viridian green. It is a lot greener than normal Viridian green, which is more turquoisey like look to it. This one is very much green. I don't know the exact place that this Viridian green came from, so I can't answer that. But I do know that I know variations of pigment happen. So, and if I'm boring you, I'm sorry.
You're not boring me. I'm trying to print. I'll have to see if this works. Let me go queue up the real loading spot here. All right, let's see if this works. I doubt this will work on the first try of all of my things that are goofy. My printer is the most goofy. No. Really?
Yes, really.
Oh my goodness. I swear. What is it printing like now? Properties. We go borderless. Okay. Settings. Cancel. Because it's doing the won't shrink to fit. Like this one right here. I need this button right here. Yay! I need you to click. Fit to page. I swear, this is just determined not to work. Okay. Change image resolution. Yo. George, you passed.
Yeah. George is not pest. George is George.
Yeah. He's also been getting up onto the table there. And what are you doing?
So essentially, he's getting more daring.
What happened? He's sneezing a lot. I don't know what he got into, but he got up onto the table, and now he's sneezing a whole lot.
Around this time in the morning, our cat Nacho used to sneeze a lot too.
Yeah, no, I think he got into something. I'm not sure if he tried to inhale water or what. He didn't get into my paints. So I don't know what he got into. Let's see what it does. Ooh.
I really like this green that those two colors make. Interesting.
Huh. Actually, not bad. That didn't turn out bad at all. Would have expected a lot worse out of this, but it actually turned out pretty decent. Yeah, Pepper is never boring, says Brent. You're never boring. I actually will agree with that. You're never boring. All right. We've got a page on here now. That's a plus. And Sneezy, who got into something, I think he got into my water.
Your paint water?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was kind of happy. I only had to deal with Nacho getting up on my art desk once. And he realized that was a big mistake the moment he got up.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
wish that George figured that out, but he doesn't. He thinks it's still cool because he's not allowed up there. So he's really big on it because he's like, but I'm not allowed up here, so I've got to be up here.
yeah, Nacho, it was a little bit different. Like, I actually had like a space for him that was the same height as the desk. And I could turn around, give him some petting, and then go back to my work.
Right. Now I gotta figure out what happened to my blue tape.
Yeah. And since we gave him like his own space within the office, he stopped going on Bill's desk a lot of the times. He still went on Bill's desk, but I just want to point out that he didn't go on it as frequently after we gave him the pillow.
Only when he wasn't feeling well and he wanted attention.
Yeah, if he wasn't feeling well and he wanted attention, like that's when we would see him noticeably.
That's when he got onto the desk.
Yeah.
I want attention. Pay attention to me now, but I'm working.
Well, I mean, and I am saying that I'm talking like he was a sick cat at that time, so I mean that's probably why. Me and Bill are just missing Nacho this morning, so. So anyways, I did some test painting right here, just to kind of go with everything. This is the handmade paints that I made last night, as you probably were aware after seeing. And then this is the paints from Dirty Blue.
You were going to explain why they're dirty blue paints.
Okay, so Dirty Blue's signature color is literally Dirty Blue. And that's the color right here.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then, doesn't it now?
Yeah, so it was the first color he made by combining two different pigments. As you can see, like he actually has the pigment colors right here at the base. If like to let me know like what's in it. I don't have the same thing with the Easter set, but I mean, this is the Happy Easter and Spring from Dirty Blue. So as you can see, like, you know, there's blue, there's a yellow, there's a magenta. I feel like I'm printing when I say I cannot remember the actual names of the paint that he posted. So please bear with me. If you go to the website, you'll probably find different names.
Right.
But Dirty Blue, like, I really do like it. It's a moody blue. It's different than Payne's Gray because it's bluer. Also, this blue pigment, I believe, is also combined with a yellow pigment. And that is like kind of neat that it still appears like blue. So that's why I like it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to use both sets of paint or if I just want to use the one I made because it's the one I made, or if I want to use Dirty Blue. So
Yeah. If the question is blue, then usually for me the answer is yes. I mean, that's just another way.
What was that?
I said if the question is blue, generally the answer is yes for me. I don't know. I am an epic blue fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this week has been very interesting so far, so. Oop. I know you guys are probably not going to be able to see it right away, so I'm just going to sketch something real quick. Guy has his fancy printer.
No.
I'm not allowed?
Not you, George. Unless you're chewing on boxes. If you're chewing on boxes, you're not allowed to do that either.
I have a bottle of
You,
water here.
George, can chew on boxes.
Bill tried to comment. Don't listen to Bill.
I see.
I have a bottle of water. I'll just spritz him if he starts.
All right. Brent says Bill is not on camera, therefore he can't comment. Alrighty. So now what we're doing here on my side is I've now strapped down this page and I'm going to start trying to get in here and painting it or something. Probably just cause trouble. It's really what I'm going to do. There we go. And I'm just going in here and putting in color for the background. I always want to start at the background because I'm so new to watercolor that it's like I have to warm up to it. So I'm afraid that I'm going to mess stuff up. I can hear you, right, George? You are not, in fact, very stealthy. So George got me up early this morning because he was playing with the poles on the curtains, and he wouldn't.
Oh, did he try to end his own life by accident?
No, he was just yeah, I guess. But whatever was the story, I was out to kill him. He almost ended his own life by me because I'm like, really? I'm trying to sleep, and this is what you're doing. I have heard of cats doing that, though, ending their life on the cord.
Well, it's usually an unintentional thing.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, putting this in here. I don't think we have music playing. Just never.
I don't think we've ever had. I think it's the we're in a period where like I wasn't talking, and normally we're always talking, so we've never had really music playing.
Well, I usually have music playing for the show, which is all royalty free. So it's not, so that they won't snag us and pull my video from YouTube. But apparently, I don't have it. Moving day is Tuesday and Wednesday next week, so he won't be around. That's a bummer. I am still uber bummed about your moving.
Is he moving out of Colorado?
Yeah, he's moving out of Colorado. To sort of a nowheresville.
Why is he moving to Kansas?
Yeah, that's definitely the nowheresville in question. It's kind of complicated, I think.
Oh, okay.
I also think that probably, not a thing we should broadcast, but.
Well, Guy, why'd you bring it up?
Because he brought it up. It's his fault. I blame him. There you go. Yeah, he's saying he's bummed too because he's got a lot of friends here and there's a great gaming community. That was the thing that really was weird when we were living in Texas. Now we've got music on. When we were living in Texas, we just having such a time trying to get to the gaming communities. We actually had to go all the way into Houston to do it. The game at all. It was remarkably frustrating.
No, I'm sorry that you had to go to Houston.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Houston's not so bad. I say that, but it's really not bad.
All I know is every single person that has told me a story that starts off with, while we were in Texas, all I know is I'm about to hear about a lot of car trouble and how they couldn't find anyone with their own interest.
Yeah, definitely both of those things happened while we were in Texas.
I have a nerdy YouTube personality.
Although I recently connected with a cousin of mine living in Dallas and found out that he is an epic gamer. He plays D&D and he makes Star Wars and Star Trek jokes, and he's roughly my age too, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
So that is a nice thing to know. Next time I head to Texas, might hang out with him and his group.
Cool.
So I was thinking, I was like, that's kind of nice.
Hopefully you don't have the same reaction as when I introduce people to my cousins at occasions. where they go, "How are you related to him?"
Right?
Which has happened to me before.
Well, yeah, and I do get a lot of how are you related, but it's usually not in the sort of negative connotation that you're putting up. It's always the hey, which brother or sister do you belong to? You know.
Yeah, I don't. It's very okay. So my family is like our genetic traits are very varied. So I have cousins who have like. And before I say this, they are not Hispanic or anything. They just have darker skin than me.
Right?
And so a lot of people are like, "How are you related?" And we have to explain how we are related. So
Brent's saying his ex-wife decided to move there, and so he has to go to be around his daughter.
Okay.
Since he said it on air, I don't feel so bad saying it. He says there's one game store in Topeka. A really limited selection of things. And he says, well, he lived in Texas. He hated it. Now he only allows himself to go there once a year, if that. That said, last time we were there, I did observe that there was a game store in Conroe which sold magic cards. Usually if there's magic cards,
There's everything else?
yeah, they're kind of geek.
So were there other magic cards?
I don't know. I was in the middle of doing a run for my dad. So I was on a mission and I couldn't stop by there. So next time I'm down there, which will be in a couple of months, I think my kid and I will drop in and see whether they've got whether they survived COVID, and B, whether they
in the great blizzard of Texas.
Yeah, the great blizzard. That was so bizarre. There we go. Clear my pans there, so that they would be a little bit cleaner. Okay. Now, they all actually have blue uniforms. Because this is my comic, and as my wife has been fond of saying, it's your comic, you can have them have blue uniforms if you want. And so they all have blue uniforms.
So I take it she has a difference of opinion on what color the uniform should be.
No, her opinion. I was saying maybe I shouldn't make them blue uniforms, and she was like, "No, it's your comic. You can make them have blue uniforms if you want."
Just stay away from red unless you don't value them.
Right? Exactly. Although I did notice that by using a blue uniform, if I have a red offset color, they look like Spider-Man. So I can't actually use red now for my characters because they end up looking like Spider-Man. It's very entertaining. So I do want to think about whether enlisted will have a different color or not.
They're recently enlisted. Why don't you just use purple?
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. I actually might change the uniform entirely for enlisted. We'll have to see. Because this character that I'm painting right now is an enlisted man. So we have to decide. At some point. Although this is a test page, so this page is not, I'm not terribly worried if the accuracy isn't perfect. I'm just trying to see whether I can do the idea and the concept of painting it. You know, painting a page, will that work?
What?
Said this doesn't seem like it's going that bad.
What, the show?
No, the painting of the page.
Oh, okay.
The
I'm sorry, I can't see the screen.
Oh yeah, you can't see what I'm doing. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I think the show's going fine. I mean, we have Brent. We don't need anything else.
We have Bill in the background.
We have Bill. We have Brent. We're good.
The anatomy on this looks very weird.
Questionable anatomy.
Questionable.
Like the name of an entire. That'd be kind of a cool series if the series was like about shapeshifters or something like that, you know? So the whole series is called Questionable Anatomy.
You know what, though? That would be an entire series that would basically get away with basically drawing bad anatomy on purpose.
Right?
You know, I could totally get behind that. So long as they didn't pull a Rob Liefeld, I mean, I'm good.
They'll just stick all their hands behind their backs.
We'll have the man chest type deal. Like, basically, like, looking like the chest is not proportionally proper.
Right? Oh,
you know? Top heavy women. Yeah. With tiny waist. With no balance on the bottom. Yeah. Totally see that.
Yeah.
Was it Da Vinci that had that movement where he did like grotesque human exaggerated features and whatnot?
Messages from Bill.
Yep. I think it was Da Vinci. I think you're right. I feel like that was something he was really like bitter and angry about. And rightfully so. I mean, that was like, like the way I draw people is totally in protest to stupid stuff like that.
Well, I think the worst thing to draw is probably like, because I like drawing different things in body shapes and stuff. But when Bill had me draw a little person, I had fun with it. For the comic that we do together.
A child or an adult little person?
Both.
Oh, yeah.
It was the same character. I had to draw him as a child and draw him as a adult as well.
Sweet.
I liked it because I got to try to, like, I tried to do this thing where it was respectful.
Right.
But like I thought normal child proportions were weird and wonky. The proportions I saw there, like they could go very weird in a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying that it was a bad thing or that they're weird looking or anything like that. It was just that's one of those search terms that I now feel like I'm on a Google, like some type of government list.
Yeah, or at least targeted by Pornhub. You know, odds are good.
No, trust me, I actually do think that it was targeted with that.
Yeah, there are a number of times, you know, you'll do things like you'll look up, like, you'll go to Google and you'll be like, children's feet. What was it I was looking up the other day? I was looking up teenage girl poses. And I'm like, yep, I'm on a list now.
Yeah.
Because teenagers hold their body differently.
Well, they're not quite adults and they're not quite children anymore. So it's like the body language starts changing from child to adult.
Right. They hunch over a little bit more. And so I had to go look poses up, and I didn't want poses from models because, of course, any teenage models, they tell her to stand up straight and, you know, and don't hunch over. But if you look at like just people, teenage boys and girls, they hunch over and stuff like that. So I'm like, yep, I'm on the list now because I'm looking up teenage girls on there because I'm trying to get
boys
the pose straight for Alex in my story.
And as Bill just put, and boys.
Yeah, boys too, but I don't have a teenage boy in my story, so I wasn't actually headed out for that one as much. It's kind of funny. Teenage boys definitely also hunch over. Yep, but I'm humored by the fact that I'm probably on some watch list now.
There we go. All right, I think that's a good place to start painting from. How about you?
I think that's awesome.
Can you guys see it okay?
I was going to say, your camera might benefit from going down just a hair. We've got a lot of the, yeah, because we're only getting the top half of that page. There we go.
Well, I will move these up right here. Is that better?
That's a little bit better. Let me come over there and help you with this.
All right.
There we go. That's where we should be.
All right. How's the camera angle there?
There, that's much better. You're right. It's a culture thing as well. Some households get smacked for slouching. My wife has a horrible tendency to slouch. So, because obviously that wasn't the case in her house, so she tends to slouch. So that's a thing. It also adds to the effect of her looking younger than she is.
Well, what
she's not going to complain about.
I will say that we were told not to slouch in my house. But also at the same time, I don't think it was really enforced all that much. It depended on whose house I was at.
Right.
Really, if I was at my grandparents' house, then yes, I would be told not to slouch because Lack of better terms, my grandmother was the type of grandmother that forced her, not really forced, we just had books put on our head.
Right?
Yeah, that's the best way to explain it. And we had to balance the book on our head a few times.
Till you got it right, man.
Yep.
Till you got it right. I like this paper. It's very cold pressy. And it's just random watercolor paper that I had sitting around.
Cool.
But it works. It works very well, actually.
What brand?
Looks like Roaring Spring brand.
Okay. I've not heard of this brand.
Neither had I. That's why I was like, well, this is good burn paper. You know, it's like, oh, use it for my because I'm like, well, this is that thing. So, there we go. Look at that. There we go. That's working. I'm developing a brushing technique of tapping the page. I'm noticing for when I paint, so I tap so that I can get a good chaotic mix of like darks and lights and stuff like that because I really enjoy that.
Cool.
And I think that's kind of it's interesting that now that I have embraced the chaos that now that I've embraced the chaos, I actually am just like really getting into, you know, doing weirder and weirder things.
Well, hopefully they stay PG so that we don't get any flags on YouTube.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if that means calling off the Cthulhu summoning live on air.
You know, that's always like my favorite part of the show, though. I'd hate to cut that out.
But remember, last time that we did, all of our audience went mad.
It is true. However, the memory wipe has worked very well for them.
Yep. Yep. Got to thank the Eldritch Horrors for that one.
Right, right. Okay. Now my thought is, are these vents up here? I guess those are vents. Let's make them venti. And then we can make them Trenta. I think I'm clever.
It's time to take a quick break.
You know what that means? It's break time. So everybody needs to stand up and stretch. Stand up and stretch. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I can't tell what kind of day we're having. It's just kind of pseudo-rainy and overcast and really not... It's not really snowy.
Snow is supposed to occur today. I don't know what part of the day. Bill probably knows. I do not.
Yeah.
Starting at 5.
Apparently, Bill has spoken. It starts raining at 2 o'clock and starts snowing at 5.
Now I know why George is being so goofy. There's a black and white cat out there in the yard.
Ah, his territory is being threatened.
Right?
Human, bow down to me and get rid of this peon.
Yes. Bow down to Zim. Zim is one of the best ever. Okay.
I was very shocked and sad to find out the real reason why that show was canceled in the first place.
Oh, I'm curious what the real reason is for that, because I love that show.
Well, there was a whole nother season that was planned. It was already recorded. They just didn't animate it at all.
So, Donald, just as a side note, the tingly fling things were, a nice side effect that we added just for you.
What?
You're not reading the screen. Donald's talking about the mind wipe that he doesn't know anything about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, yes. Why was the show canceled? Was it Jonan Vasquez thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the similarities between there was a lot of similarities for his characters between the comic book story that he did called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Yeah.
And Space Invader Zim. And there was like a lot of cross-referencing. Now, I believe the official reason was budget cuts or something similar to that. But, I mean, you had parent groups like worried that he was going to interject Johnny the Homicidal Maniac into the cartoon.
Is that really a thought? Because actually, JHM is not such a bad comic.
No, I mean, it's not. I mean, I liked it. I liked Squee, and Squee was actually in Zim, which is funny. A lot of people don't realize that he was there, but he was, because he was a kid in Dibs and Zim's class.
Yep.
But like. I thought it was like super weird myself because I was like, why would he put that character there when it's not like it would be no point to put the character there,
right?
But like there was references like Dib's sister wore something that Johnny wore as well, and with Squee there in the class, like apparently no one really read the comic.
Yeah, I was to say, all they got was Homicidal Maniac, and they were like, well, clearly this is a bad thing. And
yeah. My thing is I've read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and all I gotta say is he's not really crazy or a maniac.
Right? It's
Like,
part of the story that he's sort of misnamed to some degree.
yeah. He actually, I want to say he's a better parent to Squee than Squee's actual parents.
Yep.
Um,
It's like Dee Dee from Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. You know what I mean? She's deaf, certainly, but she's the wise character. She's the wisdom character. You know,
yeah.
even though when you first meet her, that's not the impression you get. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought you were going to start talking about Dexter's Laboratory for a second because you said Dee
Dexter's
Dee.
Lab is another one that's out there.
I would. I'm just going to point this out. Like a lot of the cartoon shows from the 90s that started on TBS, like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken, stuff like that. Today's kids are not going to get like shows that are like that anymore. I understand that.
I'm gonna sing the Doom song. Doomy doomy doom.
Yeah.
Doomy doom.
You know.
Grrr.
Yeah. But like we got HBO Max now.
Yep.
And Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is on HBO Max.
Right.
Now we have Boomerang. Boomerang has Courage the Cowardly Dog as well, but they don't have Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. But we were watching it, and if you were missing like Ren and Stimpy, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, not that far off from Ren and Stimpy style humor.
Yeah.
And it still pushed the envelope as far as how far you could push those kid jokes, man. I mean, they have the Grim Reaper talk about how he wants to kill Billy and Mandy several times. You know, so you have him talking about killing kids, which he never succeeds at killing them. So, I mean, I guess there's that. But like, I just realized like there's a lot of dark cartoons from the 90s.
Yeah. We were in a mood in the 90s, weren't we?
Well, I mean, we did have the original, I believe they call it something else now, but we had the moody grunge period in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't have emo yet. We had grunge.
Yeah.
Emo.
Grunge mo.
Huh?
Grunge mo.
Yeah. And then, what else did we have in the 90s? Because I know grunge basically, like, if you're called a hipster now, I mean, that's pretty much half of grunge.
Does it make you a grunster?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I say only half because, you know, I don't think in the 90s we didn't have the man bun.
Yes. If you contract that, you get mun or ban, and I think ban's probably better. Oh man, I'm easily entertained. Is what I am.
It's all right. It's why we're friends.
Yep, it is why we're friends. And you guys are right. The anime scene got insane. And it mostly got insane because of the fact that anime was dying at the end of the 80s. And as the 90s came around, and what happened was we sort of single-handedly saved the scene.
What do you mean by we? You mean Americans?
And the anime clubs that were here. It was very close. It was a very close thing. The Japanese almost lost that entire cultural piece. It wasn't making any money. The bubble was bursting in Japan. And so they were about to close up shops. And then it started to explode over here. So with that explosion came a certain amount of resurgence, which is one of the reasons why we went into an anime cycle that was pretty much the same anime over and over and over again. For a long time, there wasn't a lot of new stuff coming out because they didn't know how to interface with Americans. They just knew that Sailor Moon was popular, so we had 7,000 Sailor Moon clones. And they knew that Dragon Ball Z was popular, so there were 7,000 Dragon Ball Z clones. And
I just want to point out that Pretty Cure is not Sailor Moon.
Which one?
Pretty Cure.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it took them some time before they figured out what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, Cardcaptor Sakura came out, which is a Sailor Moon clone, and was popular.
Well, let me be clear. Cardcaptor Sakura was made by a company called Clamp.
Yes.
And Clamp became popular
because of Ray Earth.
Because of Ray Earth.
Ray Earth.
Yeah. Ray Earth, and not only Ray Earth, but what is it?
X Japan.
X Japan.
X-99.
Those two parts of Clamp that were turned into an anime were very popular in America.
Yep.
And they have a cult following.
Oh, they still do.
I loved Cardcaptor Sakura. So I actually I watched the first because they aged the characters and relaunched it like last year or the year before that.
Really?
And it's on Crunchyroll. Yeah, they're in junior high. They're no longer in elementary school.
Which is good because, you know, Sakura having a crush on what's his name was a little creepy.
Well, so the Americanized version had it as a crush, but it's explained in the Japanese very well that all the kids in the series that develop crushes on Sakura's brother's friend or Sakura's brother.
It happens.
Yeah, that it does happen actually a few times. They're attracted to the power that both of the gentlemen have.
Sure.
But it also turns out that Sakura's brother is in a relationship with his friend.
Yep.
And that was excluded in the American version.
Well, it was excluded in the early versions of it, I'm sure. I'm sure that after a while I got over it. That's like Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune.
Well, yeah, they had them as cousins in the American version.
Were cousins. We were, oh man, that was our ongoing joke forever.
Yeah, I got
cousins.
Cousins. And it was just oh God. Because I knew the truth. I knew the truth. I couldn't escape the truth from my mind. And
well, and we had watched Sailor Moon in Japanese.
Yeah.
Because the anime clubs had been watching Sailor Moon for a very long time. And so it was pretty straight up. Uranus and Neptune were lovers, and that was a given. And then it came over here, and it was so blatant. It's like, they are cousins. That's why they live together. I'm like, what? Oh man.
Yeah. What I actually
Sad
found,
and funny at the same time.
what I find interesting is, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, in the 90s when Sailor Moon came out, but Uranus is actually third gender.
Yeah.
She is
Genderless.
she's genderless. She has traits of both male and female, not just in personality qualities, but physical body attributes.
Yep.
In Sailor Neptune, in the reboot, the Crystal series, when they introduced the two scouts, Sailor Neptune introduces her as Sailor Uranus. She's both male and female, and can be both.
Oh, sure.
Whenever she wants.
And we only attribute she because in Japanese they don't have a gender pronoun. You have to actively say male or female.
Well, it's kind of like the Starlights.
Yeah, the Sailor Starlights are also very much confused, not confused gender, but confusing gender. So it's hard to figure out which one's going to.
Well, in reality, if you go based off of the original show, you have the SailorNet Mao talk on how she finds it repulsive that they're pretending to be male when they're clearly female from another world.
Right.
However, it did prove a theory that not necessarily, like, if you were male and wanted to be a Sailor Scout, no matter what you did, when you transformed, you would have been a female presenting.
Yes.
Because they use he, or the word for he, when they're male, and when they're fighting as after being transformed, they use the terms for she. They're interchanged for those three characters.
Yeah, and for those who were wondering, there are ways that you can convert your language to indicate it's demurring or feminine. Like watashi is I, but you can take that W off and make it atashi, and that demurs it, and that makes you feminine. But if you use boku or kimi, that's more masculine. And so it's much more of it's when you listen to them talking, they're using male, like very masculine, very strong language, and they're aggressive. They're very aggressive. Where in Japanese, you can demur the language and it makes you less aggressive, which I find fascinating. The way that they did that, because they're female voice actors, but they've got the female voice actors speaking in a lower register and intentionally using more aggressive and more masculine sounding language, which is really cool. It gives a different effect, a very different effect.
I mean, it's kind of like when people found out, like when my group of friends found out that the original voice actor for Goku from Dragon Ball Z is a female.
Well, yes. But isn't the original voice actor for Goku Megumi Hayashibara?
Yeah.
Because she's everything.
Yeah. Like, but
She's
like,
Ranma. She's Goku. She's everything.
yeah, she's pretty much everyone from the 90s.
Right? So,
You know? But I just like the fact that they never changed his voice. Like in the American version, his voice changed
oh, yeah.
from when he was a child to an adult.
Right.
And then when you're watching it in Japanese, his voice stays the same as he was as a kid.
Poor dude. There's a guy named Bacchus who ends up being Bacchus.
Yeah.
Idiot. Says Brent, bringing up an interesting side point. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
I mean, Rama One Half is another one that I kind of really like. They play with the gender politics with that one too a lot.
Yeah, this is great. So it's when I was, of course, now I can think about it as Sailor Star's opening song. So it's stuck in my head. Can't shake it now.
Which it is a catchy song.
It is.
It is a catchy song. Do you know that it took me until they basically banned it from YouTube to actually see Sailor Stars?
Yeah. I had seen fan subs of it in the 90s. So we'd already gotten kind of into that by the 90s, which was cool. But yeah, it depends on where you were. I mean, I was very deeply embedded in the Japanese anime culture at that time. So we were getting those things first run. And it was interesting because, like all good fan groups, we just, Uranus and Neptune are lovers. Okay. You know what I mean? Nobody gave it a second thought until they made them cousins. Then we were like, wait a minute.
I'm sorry. It's just like, what was it? I was talking to, so I worked at this place which had, we had a lot of teenagers that worked there.
Uh-huh.
And this one girl started, she was 16. I was older than her, and I had been at the place a little bit while longer than her. And she absolutely loved Sailor Moon. Everything about Sailor Moon. She was all about it. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to her about it, and I was like, yeah, and then you have the couple, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus. And she's like, but aren't they cousins? And I'm just like, nope, they're not cousins. And if you read the manga,
anybody would say that, we'd be like, yes, kissing cousins.
Yeah, like I was just basically like, if you read the manga, you find out that is not true. Like, not at all true. And she's like, wait, what's a manga? And I'm like, oh dear God.
No, you poor sheltered child.
No, it's
this is where I have the problem that I'm running into. Now I feel like I want to put more different colors in these backgrounds. And this is exactly what I've got. I've got a shortage of good usable colors over here. And this is why I said I want to head for that color palette. Mostly because now, where I am now, I'm like, oh man, I am short on colors. Can't figure out what else to do over here. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to distract you on that one.
No, it's fine.
This is a practice thing. I can put gold in here. I'm going to put gold.
I was kind of hoping for other people to join us today.
Yeah, well, Colton wrote back and said that he has his second dose today of vaccines.
Oh, I got my first.
Good job.
It was complete random though. Like, so we went to the grocery store instead of Saturday, we went Sunday. And for some weird reason, we waited quite some time before going. And we're heading to checkout, and all of a sudden, like the nurse from the free clinic at King Supers comes up to us and goes, "Do you want to get the COVID shot? We have one left for the day, and someone canceled, and we don't want to waste it." And that's on how I got it. It was like I didn't even schedule an appointment or anything like that. It was just a random thing.
Yeah, well, that's wild. That's kind of cool.
I was kind of worried because we had just dyed his hair gray, that they thought he was older.
Oh.
He's trying to pull the whole gray hair is more revered because you must be old thing on me.
If that were true, I'd be more revered. Instead, I feel kind of like I'm just Paul revered.
Or you're asked, how was Paul Revere when you were younger?
Always a good question, actually. Okay, there we go. Gold looks good in there. I'm okay with gold. It makes it sparkly. It's kind of cool. I'll let it dry for a second. Come over here and see what everybody's doing. Yeah, actually, Brent's probably got a better chance in Kansas than here. And that's a sad but true statement.
What do you mean better chance?
Because I have discovered that states that are redder tend to have a lot of people who have decided that the vaccine is going to kill them or something, so they're not getting vaccinated. And so if you want the vaccine, the red states are the place to go because the people in the red states are not actually using up their allotment.
Okay.
So I actually had a couple of buddies go to Texas, just cross the border down to Texas, because even though it was quite a ways, but I mean, everybody here in Colorado seems to be pretty good about staying on schedule, and we're going through our allotment. The thing is, I mean, like, it depends on how it goes, but by the way, when you get to the point where you are looking for your second, try CVS.
I already have my second scheduled at the same clinic.
Well, there you go. Never mind then.
Yeah, they actually. So their whole thing was, they got me in, and they went over all the stuff. I told them what I was allergic to, what we need to look out for, stuff like that, because I have known previous issues with other vaccines.
Right.
And once they gave me the first vaccine, they basically were like, "Oh, have you set up your appointment for the next one?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And so the PA basically went right over to the computer and said, "You can get it as soon as this day." And I was like, "Let's do that day."
Yep.
And like we scheduled it right there. So like I didn't have to call in. I didn't have to try to find another place. They already had an opening on that day. So there you go.
Perfect. That means that very shortly after that, 2 weeks after that, you and I can start hanging out at Starbucks and doing this.
Yes.
We'll all be vaccinated. I'm clear effective Sunday.
Cool.
2 weeks from my vaccination. Since I had the Johnson & Johnson, it was a one and done. So I have a friend who's terrified I'm going to get a blood clot.
Well, I
trying
don't.
to tell him that there was a much higher chance of me getting killed on I-76 than getting the blood clot.
Well, also at the same time, like when people are asking about those blood clot things, like when I looked into the blood clot stuff, it looked like the main person or the main people that would be affected the most were not male.
Right? That's like I said, I had a higher risk of being killed in a car accident in I-76.
Yeah.
I told him that, and he was like, "Don't drive an I-76 then." Like, I think I should rephrase this. I have a higher chance of an airplane wheel falling through my house and killing me.
Don't go out like Donnie Darko.
Right? I love the guy though. He's cool. He's Australian. And the problem with Australians is that they actually got a pretty good handle on the virus early on. So he doesn't know anybody who's gotten COVID. Whereas I know a number of people who've gotten COVID and ended up in the hospital. And I'm still worried about Brian because Brian's saying he got COVID and now he's having a hard time drawing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, see, Donald, you should get it through the VA. That's where my dad got it. My dad got it through the VA as well. So that's a great option there, I think. So I feel like looking at this picture, we're doing pretty good on sort of the lighter pastel colors. It's not super, you know how I've always had this problem being super dark with everything I do?
Yeah.
And this is turning out to be not super dark, which is good. It looks decent. I'm going to put in some yellow right over here in this last panel. And that way she looks like she's glowing or something. This is particularly funny because I remember the page of the manga that I stole this from. And all I did was just use the manga as a pose point, like all the characters in the same poses.
You used it for reference.
Yeah, that's all I did. Because I didn't have a script or anything like that, so there's no rig for this. There's no way to know what these characters are supposed to be doing or whatever. So I just used the page as a reference and then just mimicked the setup. But it's funny because, of course, in this scene, it's a scene between Hikaru and Minmei. And, so he's Hikaru, and this is Minmei, and then this is Misa Hayase. And so, and it's a scene, and of course, this is Macross with a Valkyrie sitting on the tarmac, which I redid as the Kittiwake sitting, the pose, everything. I drew all this myself. I mean, so all of this is, I didn't copy the page or anything. I just copied the layout because I didn't want to have to try to figure out stuff, pages and things. So
I really need to get a new mixing palette.
Right. It's actually kind of decent. Well, now all I got to do is just figure out. So this is the other thing that I have a problem with. Spaceships. Like, spaceships are typically gray, but whenever I see the paintings in, like, my favorite books, like, for example, I will go get my Federation book, The History of the Federation. In the book that was written, History of the Federation, this book right here, in this book, there are some exquisite watercolors in here from different eras and different times, right? And I love these watercolors in here. But the way they do ships is fascinating to me because they use a yellow usually and a green for the hull colors.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see that actually.
right? And here this is one of the Daedalus class ships from Star Trek, and we love Daedalus classes. And I actually have such a horrible soft spot for Daedalus class ships. But yeah, I mean, they're using yellow and green and some brown, and you know what I mean? It's like, it's an interesting set of colors. So I'm going to try that here. I'm going to start with a yellow. And kind of go in on this. It's why I intentionally did the background kind of in a blue and a purple so that the kittiwake will stand out. One thing I am learning to do is be more hopping around. So, paint the kittiwake yellow, go to another picture, work on something else for a few minutes. I do not have Mayrell's skin color.
Wait, didn't I give you something that was similar to Mayrell's skin color?
You gave me the chocolate brown works perfect for his skin. Oh, you're not looking at the screen. You can't see the screen. One of the characters is actually black, and the skin color is perfect, absolutely perfect. But Mayrell is just a dark tone, so she's dark-ish.
Gotcha.
Because she's really not that dark, although I just made her darker than I meant to. Which is exactly why I want to have fixed colors for all of these characters. Because now I just messed up the picture by putting paint down. Luckily, this is practice. Although it doesn't look that bad. Right.
So what was that right for?
Chicken Parma breadstick sliders at Fuzzy Holies? Mmm.
That actually sounds really good right now.
Right? I'm like, whoa. Kind of feel like I need that. Just saying.
Yeah, and well, it also doesn't help that I'm hungry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have chili, or not chili, but and this isn't unfortunately. Fortunately, I have curry downstairs from the other night that I'm looking forward to eating. But it is that trip to Fazoli's is probably not something I can do at this moment. There's a Fazoli's right at the right on Wadsworth at about 58th, I want to say. Okay. we go. Yeah, in that particular picture that I was just putting up there, the ship was very much a Romulan ship, so always interesting.
Well, Romulan ships were cool looking.
Yep. Definitely true.
They also had cloaking technology.
Yeah. The old joke of you don't paint the ship and then say it's cloaked. Oh, man, I'm easily entertained. Okay, let's head back to the kitty wig. She's dry now. Let's put in some green. And now that I'm a little more comfortable with my chaos, I'm going to go through here with the green and put it in the bottom of the ship.
Interesting.
There we go. That looks good. Just kind of going through here and greening up a little bit here. There we go. We need to make. I use a little bit of this Payne's gray. Go in with the front of Bennett's hair. So hair is gray. In the front. Looks better. Somewhere along the line, I am going to have to make a call on the uniforms.
What do you mean by call?
Well, I'm happy with blue and green. As far as command, and I think that I have made sort of the services branch like blue and yellow. But Bill had commented earlier that I can't make blue and red, but the truth of the matter is blue and red makes him look like Spider-Man. So we can't use blue and red, but I can use like an orange, and there's definitely blue and purple that works.
Yeah.
So I've got two other colors I can do. And then there's going to be the blue and white. Blue and white will be medical because white is always medical, so you can see blood. I don't know why white is medical. It's like, look,
actually, to see blood is kind of makes sense.
Yeah. You have blood on you? Oh, yeah, I guess I do. Yeah.
I was just joking about the red, that if you valued their lives, you wouldn't put them in red uniforms.
Well, yes. Yes, I know. I know you were making a red shirt commentary.
Yeah.
However, red shirt commentary notwithstanding, they do look like Spider-Man. So, sort of not as good. Not as good, sadly. Don't give them brown pants. Bring me my brown pants.
No, don't give them brown pants. Give them khakis.
Bring me, well, yeah, but if that's the color of your excrement, you've got problems, man. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not supposed to be khaki.
You're insane.
According to my doctor, stool samples should not be khaki.
Right?
They should not be white either.
In our baby training class, they told us.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we did a baby training class for the adoption, and they basically were like, if you see khaki, that's bad. That's a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
If you see
However,
white, that's a bad thing.
If it looks like it's burnt or is ash, that means you've been feeding them blueberries. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That could be a little shocking at first if you're not familiar with it. My kid was a frutivore forever. And that was like the weirdest diapers. I was like, whoa, what in the heck? He just eats blueberries. And then you're like, well, there's that. I'm going to go on ahead and put some of this burnt sienna in here because that was one of the colors I was seeing over there. It's like a burnt sienna. And tap a little bit of this in chaotically.
Oh, I really love this gold ochre, man.
Yeah, I might need some of that gold.
Need a little bit of Poland.
I like the color. I like that poppy red you had too.
According to Bill, if you see it in person, it is fire engine red.
That's the one I'm looking for. Always need fire engine red. I have pennants. I have registries. I paint Star Trek ships all the time. I need Bussard collectors or red. I mean, there's just so many things. There we go. That's not bad at all. All right. This was a fascinating experiment into whether I could do this or not in 2 hours, and it looks like I can. I'm not going to do my entire. It's not in style for manga anyway to do the entire page or to do the entire book in color. That's not actually sort of the way manga works, and they do it for multiple reasons.
From my understanding, it's only the first couple of pages that usually would be either watercolor or colored.
Yep, that's pretty much what I do. The first, and they have to be in sets of 4. So either it's the first 4 or the first 8, depending on the artist.
Yeah.
But I'll let that sit over there, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to paint them with watercolors or paint them here on Clip Studio and just go with it. But as is classic with it, they do it for cost savings because black and white prints cheaper than color.
Oh, yeah.
But now the web presses are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And even whenever I send stuff off to Superior POD, even they are getting to the point now where it doesn't cost them much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all right.
The world of printing, though, is like super weird. The more you print, the less per piece the price is to print.
That's true because they can recoup. There's a certain amount of configuration and setup that goes with all the machines.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why it was so expensive for such a long time to do that, because it took forever to do that. Now, as time has gone on, what you end up with is it's just a matter of sending an INF file to the printer that configures it in the proper way for the print.
Yeah.
So the cover is coming along interestingly. I didn't actually have a show yesterday because I had a shoot. I had to go out to B and shoot a house. So
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was clearing my throat.
Where was that town again?
B. It's out near the airport, but it is such a Scottish name. Lochbuie, Buie, Lochbuie, and it's so Scottish. I love it, but I feel like you have to say it, Lochbuie, I know I should leave those houses alone. I mean, really, honestly, what did they ever do to you? Right? But I keep going out there, and the answer to that one is 18 millimeter.
What have they ever done to you? And your answer is 18 millimeter. What did they do to you, guys?
Right? Well, he asked what caliber I used.
Okay. So context in this situation would have been nice.
No, actually, it was much more entertaining without it.
Well, if I wanted to know what really was going on, then yeah, like context would have been great.
Although sometimes, I am so gangster, sometimes I will use 10 millimeter and you can't actually see it because the camera doesn't want to focus on it. It doesn't want to do it. But yeah, I am super gangster. Super gangster. No card and camera. Yes, I know. I'm actually going to do a thing that I've been meaning to do for a while. Since we are all here. Grid display.
Hypno dancer.
That's what I need. There we go. I've been meaning to do this for a long, stupid time. I went to this shoot, and when I shot this house, every picture I had was slightly crooked, and it was driving me bonkers. So I've turned on the grid on my monitor screen now, so that unless I'm shooting like this, which does happen, but unless I shoot that way, now I should be able to put on the grid so you can see that it's got a grid on it. You can't actually see that it's got a grid on it because the camera refuses to focus. Hey, you want to focus? Hey, you. Do you want to focus? I guess you don't. You can sort of see the grid, kind of see it. Anyway. Excuse me.
I don't know if everyone can see what I've been doing, so.
Why is my stabilizer not on?
You have a stabilizer gun?
I've been taking all these pictures without a stabilizer, and it also doesn't help me any.
Oh.
Must be fun to watch. This is my super fisheye lens.
Sweet. I can't see it, but I can't see it, but I feel like it would be awesome to see.
Yeah. So back in the 80s, there was a commercial for a camera store here, and it would start with the guy going, "Hold it," click, right? And that's how he'd start. And then he'd say, you should come to whatever camera place this is. And he goes, "And remember, I took your picture." That was like the end of it. Back in the days before that would have been construed as super creepy.
I feel like we had a place that did that too, where I grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
I think it was a common thing for camera stores back then.
I think so too. Yeah. I'll take a picture of me taking a picture.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm getting close there. That's actually kind of cool. I'll try it again. Now I'm like, hey, I've made an interesting way of doing my my next avatar.
Cool.
This is kind of fun, actually. If I can get that lined up. There we go. You miss candid camera. I agree. What do you mean by EXP sim? What are you having a problem with? What is your issue? What is your primary malfunction?
It's really a cue, and it's messing with you.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, there's still Wolf's camera here. Certainly.
Wolf's Camera is where I got. They had a store in the mall that was near where I lived. That's where I got my camera for college.
That's where I got this guy. Just went down to Wolf's Camera. Since it's an EF system, that's not where I got this lens, but that's all right. I needed a better lens for shooting houses.
You know, every single time you say that, it still doesn't
Kind of
register
makes you worry about
you're
me.
taking pictures of a house.
I just
Yeah.
see you driving down the street in an SUV and just shooting houses with a
Strafing houses. It could happen,
Everyone's got to have a hobby.
right?
Guy just doesn't like his neighbors.
I have issues with my neighbors. So sue me. Yeah.
The one show that I think that I found interesting that I accidentally started watching, Dennis the Menace, from the TV series.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize this, but Wilson really hates his neighbors.
Yes.
But as a kid, like, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you didn't catch that.
Some guy that didn't like Dennis, but no, like, he doesn't like his neighbors at all.
Like any of his neighbors, yeah.
Because like there's an accident in one of the episodes, and Dennis basically inadvertently installs a pool in the backyard of the Wilsons. And then Mr. Wilson is having like people come up, and everyone's calling their house, and they're trying to schedule dinner parties, and all because he had a pool. And I do remember having to, as a kid, having to be explained why that was a big deal to people back then.
Right.
Because, like, I mean, I grew up in Florida. If you didn't have a pool, you knew someone who had a pool.
Sure.
Right? Like, and that's like when I see people who are like doing house hunting on HGTV, and they're in Florida, and they're like, "Oh, we want a pool," and I'm like, "No, you don't. No, you don't. Mm-mm." And
It's
people
not like you think it will.
no, it's not as romantic as you think. Because like my grandparents had a pool. We always went over to their house. We learned to swim in that pool.
Sure.
But the one thing that I can say about having a pool, like, I mean, in Colorado, having a pool is kind of like a Russian roulette. Like, you really have to be on top of your maintenance.
Yes. Otherwise, things go bad quick.
Yeah. And then, but you also have, like, in Florida, you have other types of maintenance that you have to do.
Like
For
get the
sure.
alligators out.
Well, yes, you have that, but you also have to like make sure that you don't get frogs or rabbits jumping into your pool.
Right?
And you think that I am joking? I am
Nope.
not.
No, I'm not. I don't. I know. I'm Texan. Remember?
Oh yes, Texas has the same issue. I forgot.
Texas has the exact same issue.
Yeah, and then Florida had the So we have like those black locusts in Florida as a kid, and I don't know if Texas had them as well or not, but basically they're like these oversized grasshoppers.
Yeah, like locusts.
Well, no, they are locusts, but they had like red wings and stuff, and they would jump into the pool.
Yep.
And you would have to fish them out. And during locust season in Florida, I mean, you'd get about 10 to 20 a day. That would clog your drain.
Yep. I'm with you.
It's just like, ugh. So like when everyone like asks like, would you want a pool? Like, and like, if I had a pool, I think it would be an indoor Turkish style bath pool. I don't know about you, Guy, but that's on how I would roll with that.
You ever been in a Turkish prison? Sorry. No, I'm quoting.
No, it's okay. The airplane reference was great.
Yeah, I can't help myself. Sometimes I just have to quote Airplane.
I mean, like when you watch that as an adult, like you don't realize like how many bad, like gay sexual innuendos that pilot did to that poor kid.
Oh, well, that was entirely intentional.
Oh, I know, but when you're a kid watching the movie, you're like, okay. Why is he saying random facts? You know?
Well, you know that it is now 11:03, so I am actually looking forward to going and getting food.
Well.
And I have class to teach this afternoon, although we are going to just continue with that. We're going to continue with it. So I did actually take a picture of me. I took a picture of the camera screen on OBS and with my camera, and then just uploaded it to Facebook. So I've changed my avatar to me talking here on this. I think that's really funny. I'm easily entertained is what I am. So anyway, okay, guys. Well, I will be back tomorrow, and we will work on the cover for what's it? Airship 27. And then, of course, I will have Pepper back on Friday. Although we will probably not be painting, we will probably be talking about what we should have been doing all week and didn't.
Speak for yourself.
I'm just
Speak for yourself. You'll find out Friday if it was
right
for me or not.
If you did your work or not.
Yes.
Until then, I will see you guys later, and I appreciate you all joining me, and that's always a fun thing. And thank you for joining me, Pepper. As always, I appreciate that. And I will see all of you guys.
We can do this. We can do a one of these in person.
Yeah, well, you'll get your second shot, and then I'll be clear on Sunday, and then you'll be clear whenever you get clear, and then by then we'll be able to get together and do this in person.
So let's just say if I want to let you know, my next shot was 3 weeks from last Sunday, and then I have to wait 2 weeks after that.
Yep. Well, I'm in my 2-week period since my shot, so that ends Sunday for me, which is
cool. So think we're probably going to be doing something in person in June.
Right.
All right.
Okay. I will see you sometime in June, but until then, I'll see you on Friday, actually. And
I
the rest
will
of
see
you
you
guys,
on camera on Friday as well.
right? And for the rest of you guys, I will see you tomorrow. And until then, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye. Computer, good night.